My wife and I moved abroad many years ago. My wife was a citizen while I was a permanent resident. My citizenship was due while we were abroad. So I thought, what if I go back to the US, get my citizenship in for 6 months and go back abroad? We had been having problems with our marriage, so the moment I mentioned this to my wife, she said yes, that's a good idea. I was a bit taken aback, but I didn't think much of it. I moved back and started living with my brother while my wife and daughter continued to stay abroad because she had a nice job. While away, I started realizing what I was missing and how my family and wife mean the world to me. We would be great conversations over Skype with me wanting to be with my wife again. My wife said the same, that she couldn't wait to see me again. 6 months went by and she visits the US for Christmas. We see each other, we go home and I want to have sex. She tells me she is very tired from the flight, which understood even though I didn't like the way she wasn't as excited as I was. Another day goes by and she is not really into it. 3 or 4 days later I ask her if everything was okay. She gets annoyed that I don't understand how she is really tired traveling for 13 hours with a 2-year-old. I was very disappointed that the woman who couldn't wait to see me was just not as happy as I thought she'd be. She goes back and my citizenship paperwork was delayed and I had to wait longer for my passport to arrive. All along we were just chatting online. After 6 months she comes back to visit and the same thing happens. This time I am really angry and we have a couple of heated arguments. Again, I was the one who didn't understand her situation and was being unnecessarily demanding. After 3 months my passport finally arrived and I went back abroad to reunite with my family. 3 years go by and we're back to the same crappy marriage as it was long ago. I kept asking her what she wanted and it was always some or the other excuse about why she is not into things. One night I was out at a bar celebrating my friend's birthday. Couple of guys in our group got into a bar fight and while trying to get my friends out of the melee, I caught my hand over a broken glass. I was bleeding profusely and the jacket I was wearing got my blood all over it. I get back home and tell my wife the story. She is great at getting stains off clothes, so she immediately starts cleaning the blood off my jacket. In her haste she didn't realize that my cell phone was in the side pocket. Now my phone is fried. We try to get it dried up but it wouldn't turn on. So I remove the SIM and go through our drawer which was full of old phones. I find my wife's old iPhone. I charge it and start using the phone with my SIM. 5 days later over the weekend I was up late at night watching a football game. While on the sofa, I start looking at my text messages. Since I had just started using the phone, my SMS were only 4 days old, but then there were a ton of other messages. A lot of it was spam that my wife had received. But I just kept scrolling. I don't know why, but I always had this at the back of my mind and now I was just wondering if I will find something. She had changed the phone a few months after I had moved to the US, so the dates went back immediately to 5 years ago. There was an offer from Domino's Pizza, or payment notification. Suddenly there was this number which had an odd country code. So I opened it and there it was. Explicit messages in a conversation describing what he wanted to do and what she wanted to do. For a moment I thought this can't be my wife because she is not that kind of person. But then it was her phone. So I kept reading. There was at least 4 months worth messages. So what happened was, after I left my wife started taking care of herself. The signs were there but I didn't see them. After started losing weight, dressing up nice, her hair was well done and all her friends were single. I would hear that she was out with friends. I didn't think much of it because I am a trusting person. So 1 month after I left, she went out and met this guy who was visiting our city. They met at a bar and apparently had a hot steamy make-out session on the dance floor. According to my wife, nothing happened because after the bar they had coffee and she went home. Then they had this 3-month-long online affair where she was having hot Skype sessions with this guy, apparently undressing on camera for him. He couldn't come back to our city but they planned a rendezvous after 3 months to finish off what they started. He came to visit, so she booked a hotel room and waited for him with 2 bottles of wine. Obviously they had sex. Then she went back home in the morning to my 2-year-old daughter and left again for the next night. We had a live-in nanny so she could be gone without any problems. When I confronted my wife, she had this pale look where she couldn't believe I had found out. This was much after it was all over, but it hurt nevertheless. I spent weeks going through her emails and looked for data in the computer. Everything was erased except I found her chat messages with her friend where she described in mild detail how I was confused about the guy. The time he came to see her suddenly and while they were at the bar under our building suddenly kissed her. When I asked her to explain, her version of the story didn't match the messages. She claimed he wanted to be with her but she said no. However, in her messages she had literally mentioned that it was up to him and she'll understand if he didn't want to carry on any further because she was a married woman. I wanted to forgive her but I don't think I ever did. Not because she had the mini affair but because she never explained to me emotionally where Gree was at. She never made me feel comfortable because she isn't very good with words. We tried to fix our marriage but I think the damage was done. After this, I wanted her to give me more attention instead of how she was ignoring me for so many years. She just couldn't handle being a mother, wife and a business owner. After 12 years, we're getting divorced. It still hurts at times but it has given me fresh perspective on life. I am determined to not make the same mistakes ever again.